lectured in scores of universities, both at national and international level. This intelligent giant could handle theology, nuclear physics, genetics, inter-religious dialogues, holistic healing, and health and various other philosophical subjects with ease. He was the strong pillar of our church, a torch-bearer of our church to clear weapons from the world. It was this anti-nuclear campaign that named him the Red Bishop from the Western media. He was a spiritual father and a compassionate friend for the poor. He was deeply sensitive for an urgent response to human suffering and multifaceted poverty. He was a loving shepherd, a spiritual father, and a lucid teacher of the Bible. He cherished freedom for others. He was an ardent activist for peace and justice. He preached and practiced that only through the realization of truth, that peace, justice, freedom, and by Dictionary of International Biography, Cambridge. Order of St. Vladimir, USSR. Order of St. Mary Magdalene, Poland. Doctor of Theology, Leningrad Theological Academy, USSR. Honorary Doctorate in Theology from Lutheran Theological Academy, Budapest, Hungary. And Honorary Doctorate in Theology from Jan Hus Faculty, Czechoslovakia. Dr. Paulos Gregorios, who lived true to his name. Gregorios means to be awake. Lived a full life, a lifelong commitment to knowledge, and a life in pursuit of excellence. Dr. Paulos Gregorios, who lived a life for the noble cause and left for his heavenly abode on November 24th, 1996. Inviting Reverend Father Dr. Reggie Matthew, Principal of the Orthodox Theological Seminary, to welcome the gathering.
May I humbly request Father Dr. K.M. George, Father Dr. Bijesh Philip, Father Dr. Nainan K. George, please come to the dais. Please. The name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, one true God. Respected Father Dr. K.M. George, the moderator of the session, Father Dr. Bijesh Philip, the chief presenter, Professor Dr. Joseph P. Verghese, who will be reading a couple of passages from a book of Paulos Gregorios, Father Dr. Nainan K. George, the registrar of the seminary, very Reverend Matthew Vaidyan, Co-Episcopa Achan, a former teacher of the seminary, faculty, dear brothers. It's a privilege for me to say a word of welcome to all the dignitaries here on the dais and among the audience. In the notice, we have been expecting Professor Dr. Sabu Thomas, the Vice Chancellor of MG University, to make a presentation here. Unfortunately, the Kerala governor has summoned all the Vice Chancellors for an immediate conference at Trivandrum today. That's why he sent us an apology, and we accepted the apology. Paulos Gregorios, Germany. I think it was in 1995. Paulos Gregorios Tirumeni arrived at Cologne Airport of Germany, to present a paper in a conference of physics teachers. One of the members of our parish went to the airport to receive him. Unfortunately, he was late and the person didn't know what happened. But then he saw somebody was helping Paulos Mar Gregorios Tirumeni on a wheelchair. He had a stroke in the aeroplane and immediately he was hospitalized in a place called Wuppertal in Cologne. He came there to make a presentation on an important topic of modern science. Unfortunately, he became ill during the journey. For a couple of days, he was very dependent, helpless, unhealthy. But after 4 or 5 days, he started writing on his laptop. So that was Paulos Mar Gregorios Tirumeni. He didn't want anybody's support to anything. So he was conscious about his own personal freedom and he was very, very optimistic in his life and he reflected on topics which are very dear to the common people of the world. So he was not simply a theologian within the four walls of the church. He wanted to be an international citizen who represents the Christian community in topics like physics and other scientific topics. So this morning we want to hear more about these things. Father Dr. K.M. Georgeson was the former principal of this seminary for a long time. ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതൽ അടുത്തറിയുകയും അദ്ദേഹത്തിൻ്റെ ചിന്തകൾ ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതൽ മനസ്സിലാക്കുകയും എക്യുമെനിക്കൽ ഫീൽഡിൽ he became a successor to Paulos Mar Gregorios. Achan was a professor at Bose Ecumenical Institute in Geneva, Switzerland, and Achan was a participant of major events of the World Council of Churches for about 2 to 3 decades. And now he is the director of the Sobana Academy. We are grateful to Achan for coming over here and moderating the session. May I heartily welcome Achan to this august body. Father Dr. Bijesh Philip did his doctorate from Dharmada Vidya Kshetra and his topic was Peace and Reconciliation, Catholic Theologian. So Bijesh Achan knows more about the writings of Paulos Mar Gregorios than anybody who is sitting here who are present in the seminary now. Achan was the former principal of Stotz, Nagpur, and now he is the assistant director of Sobana Academy. His writings, talks, everything is insightful. May I welcome Bijesh Achan to this august body to present the paper. Professor Dr. Joseph P. Verghese went to Göttingen University of Germany to do his doctoral studies with the blessings of Paulos Mar Gregorios Tirumeni and Philippos Mar Theophilus Tirumeni. Joseph Verghese is a good neighbor of the seminary. നല്ല സമരിയക്കാരൻ എന്ന് പറയുവാൻ സാധിക്കും. സമീപ കാലത്ത് നമ്മുടെ ക്യാമ്പസിൽ ഉയർന്നു വരുന്ന ചെറിയൊരു കെട്ടിടത്തിൻ്റെ ഫുൾ സ്പോൺസർഷിപ്പ്, ഓൾമോസ്റ്റ് ഫുൾ സ്പോൺസർഷിപ്പ് സാറ് വഹിച്ചു എന്നുള്ളത് നന്ദിയോടെ ഓർക്കുന്നു. അത് പരസ്യം സാർ ആഗ്രഹിക്കുന്നില്ല എങ്കിലും നന്ദിയോടെ ഓർമ്മിക്കേണ്ടതായിട്ടുണ്ട്. സാർ ഇന്ന് ഗ്രിഗോറിയസ് തിരുമേനിയുടെ ഒരു ബുക്കിലെ ഏതാനും ചില പാസേജസ് ഇവിടെ വായിക്കണമെന്ന് താല്പര്യപ്പെടുന്നു. സാറിനെയും ഈ മീറ്റിംഗിലേക്ക് ഹാർദവമായി സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്തുകൊള്ളുന്നു. Father Dr. Nainan K. George, the registrar of the seminary and the professor in the Department of Theology. Achan was at Stotz, Nagpur for a long time along with me, and we had a good fellowship. And here also we worked together, and Achan is always uh, a disciple of Paulos Gregorios Tirumeni and Father Dr. V.C. Samuel. അച്ഛനെ ഈ സദസ്സിലേക്ക് സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്യുന്നു. വൈദ്യനച്ഛന് അടുത്ത സെഷന്റെ മോഡറേറ്ററായിട്ട് വളരെ നേരത്തെ തന്നെ ഇവിടെ എത്തി. അച്ഛനെ സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്യുന്നു. ഫാക്കൽറ്റി മെമ്പേഴ്സിനെ സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്യുന്നു. And I do heartily welcome the students of the FFRRC and other funds who came from the Kannamula Theological Seminary and other centers. May I conclude my words with this. Thank you.
Thank you, Achan. Inviting Reverend Father Dr. K.M. George, former principal of the Orthodox Theological Seminary, Kottayam, chairman of Dr. Paulos Gregorios Chair, MG University, and the director of Sopana Orthodox Academy to moderate the seminar on science and technology.
ബഹുമാന്യരായ സഹോദരങ്ങളെ, സ്നേഹിതരെ, വളരെ സന്തോഷത്തോടെയാണ് ഞാനും ഇവിടെ നിൽക്കുന്നത്. നമ്മുടെ എല്ലാം ഗുരുവായ പൗലോസ് മാർ ഗ്രിഗോറിയോസ് തിരുമേനിയുടെ ഈ 100ാം ജന്മവാർഷികത്തിൽ തിരുമേനിയെ സ്നേഹപൂർവ്വം സ്മരിക്കുക എന്നുള്ളത് നമ്മുടെ വലിയ ചുമതലയാണ്. നാം അത് ഭംഗിയായി നിറവേറ്റുന്നു. ബഹുമാനപ്പെട്ട പ്രിൻസിപ്പൽ റെജി അച്ഛനെയും സംഘാടകനായ കരിങ്ങാട്ടിലച്ഛനെയും ഫാക്കൽറ്റി അംഗങ്ങളെയും ഞങ്ങളെല്ലാവരെയും ഞാൻ ആ കാര്യത്തിൽ വളരെ ഹൃദയംഗമമായി അഭിനന്ദിക്കുന്നു. മലയാളം മനസ്സിലാകാത്തവരുണ്ടോ? ഓ, ഓൺലൈനുണ്ട്. ഓക്കെ. സോ ഐ തിങ്ക് ഐ ഷുഡ് ബി ബൈലിംഗ്വൽ. It seems you all have very serious faces, because people have a feeling that Paulos Mar Gregorios Tirumeni was an inaccessible intellectual, that ordinary people couldn't get into his thinking. That's a rumor which has no basis. So he also used to laugh and all that. I would like to relate a humorous thing from 1979. You know, in 1979, the World Conference on Faith, Science and Future was held for a week at MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology in Boston, USA. And Paulos Mar Gregorios Tirumeni was the moderator for the whole week, so that people from different walks of life could understand him. So in the conference at MIT, you see there were theologians, philosophers, Nobel laureates in science, and several professors and research students from MIT and other such prestigious institutions in subjects. But the way he expressed it in fine English, I mean, a Nobel laureate in science, probably he knows very well his subject, but he will not be able to express that for ordinary people to understand something. He could do that. That was something amazing. Without knowing the details of a topic, he could understand the main lines and then explain it to people. One day, a notice appeared on the expression board outside the MIT hall, the conference hall. That is something like a troll in today's social media, you know. There was an expression board like our mirror here. I don't know whether you change the name, Darpanam. So people could express their ideas, even humorous ideas. So when we came out of the conference hall of MIT, there was a sort of caricature, a conversation between God and Paulos Mar Gregorios. And God says to Paulos Mar Gregorios, you see, I have created the whole universe in 6 days. And then Paulos Mar Gregorios told God, Lord, if you had consulted me, I would have told you how to create the whole world in 2 days. I'm sorry. My sense of humor is so low that I couldn't, okay, so you understood. Huh? You understand trolls now, but not jokes of 1979. Okay. Something is wrong. Yes, something is wrong. You should go into it. Now, Gregorios Trimeni, of course, was knowledgeable in many topics, but that was not the most important thing that I would like to highlight here. We have Vijay Philippachan, who was planning to respond to Dr. Sabu Thomas, Vice Chancellor, on science and technology, and I was supposed to be just a moderator here, but since Dr. Sabu Thomas is absent, we need to use the time and for the other speakers as well. തിരുമേനിയുടെ ഒരു പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ട പഠന വിഷയം എൻലൈറ്റൻമെൻ്റ് എന്നുള്ളതായിരുന്നു നിങ്ങൾക്കറിയാം. എൻലൈറ്റൻമെൻറ്റ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് അറിയാം 18-ാം നൂറ്റാണ്ടിൽ യൂറോപ്പിലുണ്ടായ ഒരു പ്രസ്ഥാനമാണ്. അത് പ്രബുദ്ധതാ പ്രസ്ഥാനമെന്ന് മലയാളത്തിൽ തർജ്ജമ ചെയ്യാം. ചില ആളുകൾ ജ്ഞാനോദയമെന്നും ചില ആളുകൾ വിജ്ഞാനത്തിൻ്റെ വിജ്ഞാനശാഖയുടെ ആരംഭമെന്നോ ഒക്കെ അതിനെ കുറിക്കുന്നുണ്ടായിരിക്കാം. പക്ഷേ ഈ പ്രബുദ്ധതാ പ്രസ്ഥാനം, the Enlightenment movement, became very influential not only in the West but all over the world because of the colonial movement. And the Enlightenment was behind the rise of modern science and technology. So if you want to understand the philosophy of modern science, you need to go into the basics of the Enlightenment movement. You know that Trimeni has written 2 books, Enlightenment East and West. It was written at the Institute of Advanced Studies in Shimla, which is a Government of India institute, a very beautiful library. I had been there 2 years ago, and I presented the Paulos Gregorios reader to the director of that institute in Shimla. And this is not a very book, not a very voluminous book. And then he wrote A Light Too Bright, which was published in America, which also takes up the issues discussed in Enlightened East and West. And I read in Hindustan Times many years ago that a critic wrote about the book Enlightenment East and West, saying that this is the most important book in the intellectual world of India